Hey, it's Tesla Canuck. In this week's video, we're going to swap the winter tires on my Model 3. So let's get started. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need, obviously, your floor jack over here. For the Model 3, you want a low profile floor jack because it's pretty low to the ground. So low profile. All right, I'm using a 2¼ ton floor jack, which should be more than plenty for the Model 3. Let's see, what else do I have here? Very important, you're going to want to get one of these jack pads, which are I couldn't get that out. Specifically designed for the Model 3, and it's basically going to go on here. Well, actually, that's where it's actually going to go here underneath, and this is going to then come up against the bottom of this pad here, and it's going to protect your car, and it's also going to make sure that the weight is put in the area that it's supposed to be put in. So you could actually make one of these out of a hockey puck, but I decided to buy one just because it's, specifically made for the Model 3. All right, so let's put that aside for a moment. You're going to need, obviously, a handy dandy, very manly torque wrench. Just another wrench. This is probably what I'm going to use to take the nuts off, tighten them, and then do the final tightening, obviously, with the torque wrench. You're going to torque the tires to 129 pound-foot. That's what it says in the Tesla Model 3 manual, anyhow. Okay, obviously you're going to need some sockets. I have a plastic pry tool that I just use to take the aero covers off of the wheels. You probably don't need it, you can probably just pull them off, but I like to be extra careful. So I got a plastic pry tool, and I have some bricks. And with the bricks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them up against the tires to keep the car from moving, because obviously when you get the car up on the floor jack, you don't want the car to move. And I'm going to do them one at a time, which is the way that I normally like to do it, rather than using jack stands or something like that. So nothing too fancy. All right, let's see. Recap. Is there anything that I'm forgetting to tell you? If I think of it, I'll tell you. Let's get started. All right, I just got everything organized. I've got the rear tires blocked with the bricks, and we have our puck here. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to feel underneath here, just right about here, and then there's a little bit of a hole. And then I'm going to put the puck, and it's going to basically, because there's a rubber gasket around it, it's going to stick in the hole, which is great because then I can position the floor jack and not have to worry about aligning it up. So really great. Okay, so let's, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the floor jack under there. I'm going to jack it up a little bit. I'm not going to lift the tire in the air just yet, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the nuts before I actually jack it up to the point where it's off the ground, because once it's off the ground, good luck trying to get these nuts off without your tire just kind of spinning. So it's a little tip there. Just make sure you do that before you raise the wheel into the air. All right, so let's get started. I might fast forward some of this stuff when I edit. We'll see, but let's see how this works out. Okay. Okay, so what I've done here is I've lined it up so that little jack pad is kind of going to be in the center of the bigger pad there that's going to be on top of the lift mechanism. So that's just about perfect. So I'm going to start jacking it up a little bit just to get it a little bit tight, and then we'll deal with getting the tire off. All right, let's do it. Oh, if you're not familiar with a floor jack, and really this is probably a skill level of 2 or 1 out of 10, so I think anybody can do this. So I'm going to pretend maybe that you don't know anything about this, so I'm just going to explain as I go along. So basically with these floor jacks, when you twist the handle all the way to the right, so going clockwise, that puts it in the mode where you're going to be able to lift the vehicle off the ground, or lift the wheel off the ground in this case. When you twist it all the way to the other side, that's how you lower the car. And when we get to it, I'll talk a little bit more about it, but you want to be very careful when you start lowering it. You want to do it nice and slowly. Okay, let's put this back into the position where you can hoist it. And you don't want to over tighten it, just so it's nice and, just put a little bit more resistance and it doesn't move. Like, don't try to, like man tighten it. But this is just about perfect. Let's get started. Okay, so I've got it nice and tight there, so started the lifting process. Now we're just going to take the aero wheel cover off, and we're going to loosen the nuts a little bit and get ready to actually swap this tire out. Okay, to take the aero wheel covers off, again, I like to be really careful, and I use a plastic pry tool. If you watch some other videos, you see that some people just yank them right off. Whatever you're comfortable with. But so there we go. Almost took a header there. What you want to do is once you get it started, they are pretty pliable. You can put a little bit of force on them. I haven't broken one yet. And yeah, that's it. So this is off. Now we're going to deal with the loosening the nuts there. Now you might have, just to explain this part here, you might have seen me extend this. It's just so I can get a little bit more leverage, because 129 pound-foot of torque, these things are on pretty good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to lift the car. We're going to remove the lug nuts after it's in the air, and we're going to swap out the tire. All right, now you don't have to get it too far off the ground, and I prefer not to. I always get a little nervous, but let's take this puppy off. I'm going to go grab the summer tire, and I will be right back. All right, let's get this tire off. All right, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a tighten with this, but obviously not all the way, just so I feel confident about starting to lower it. Then when we lower it, we're going to do it nice and slowly. And again, I'm just going to kind of put the rubber so it's touching with a little bit of weight on the driveway. and then I'm going to tighten them a little bit further. Maybe lower it a little bit more, and then use the torque wrench. And when you do this kind of in a what's it called, a pentagon type of pattern. So why, I don't really know. I guess that's a good question for a mechanic. All right, so now we're going to start lowering it very gently by turning the handle counterclockwise very slowly, just so it starts coming down. Okay, now that I've gotten them tightened but not torqued, I'm going to I'm going to lower the car down to the ground, and then we're going to break out the torque wrench and make sure that they're tightened to 129 pound-foot. All right, so I'd previously already adjusted the torque wrench to 129. Let's get started on this piece. 7/8. Now, if it gets a little too close to the car, you can put an extension on this. I think I might do that. So you hear that click? That clicks when you've hit the right pound-foot of torque per the setting on the torque wrench. Again, just assuming that you don't know, maybe you don't do this and you're just curious, but for people who do this, just ignore that. So there you have it. This is how you swap your winter tires. So hopefully this video is useful to you. If it was, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know how I did. And yeah, as always, hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back to you soon with a new video. Tesla Canuck, over and out.